So, the main topic that I will be talking about on this channel is honestly going to be spirit guides. Um, Basically, the reason for that is that I had like kind of an abiding interest or even passion, like since I was a teenager, to figure out everything that I could about spirit guides. Um, And it came out of a little bit of trauma, so I'll give a little bit of my story. It wouldn't even make sense to name names in this situation. This was literally close to 30 years ago, but more or less, um, I I happened into a spiritual class when I was literally 16, and that was kind of the beginning. Well, it was one of the beginnings of my abilities because they had opened up about 8 years previously, but I wouldn't have um, fully connected all of those events. But this was the first time that I ever ended up in a class, and I was basically told by the teacher, who was only a little bit older than me, that, and I will definitely this is not going to be my only video about this, but this is what happened. I was told by the teacher basically if I didn't behave in class since I was a kid, like my spirit guides would leave me. So, I mean, I became obsessed from that point. I became obsessed with like being the best spiritual person and never angering my spirit guides or whatever, and finding my spirit guides. And, it was a little traumatic. That's why I'm telling this story, because honestly, this channel is a little bit of an outlet for me. I'm not going to worry about that much about being the perfect YouTuber. Uh, I, and so basically from the age of 16, I was just like, I'm going to find out everything that I possibly can about spirit guides. And, some of it resonated. And like with everything, like some people where I would read their books or take their classes or whatever, it wouldn't line up with what I had experienced. And then very recently, like literally within the last 2 weeks, I was led through an experience with someone that I have mentors. I've always had mentors, and so there is someone who I've worked with who led us through an exercise recently. And guess what? I found all of the same spirit guides that I had first found when I was, well, not literally every single one, but like I found my very first spirit guide who I had ever found when I was 16, when I was like led through my first class. I found a spirit guide, and then I thought, oh, she would have left because I wasn't great in the class. And but that was the impetus for me to like study spirit guides for the next like almost 30 years. So, on the one hand, it was seriously traumatic. Like, I feel that people should be a little careful when they're talking about, oh, like your spirit guides can leave, they can switch out. Like I will be honest with you, like I have not the most wonderful attachment with some people in my life, and like, being told, your spirit guides switch out, they leave. This was absolutely like crazy making for me. This was like traumatic. So that's helpful for some people, and it's not helpful for some other people. And it turns out that my very first spirit guide that I ever met, she's still there. I didn't know until about 2 weeks ago. And I also have other beings that have been with me definitely since I was like 12 years old, which predates this class. That other mediums were like, did you know that you have this being with you? And I know I wouldn't have had that being with me before I was like 12 years old, or I found that being when I was 12 years old, and like mediums can still find those beings. I do go to mediums, like it's okay to check in with other mediums. I am a medium and I still check in with other mediums because I respect my colleagues. And yeah, it is okay to be like, hey, if you progress, spirit guides do XYZ, whatever. But that's not my actual experience. I haven't been abandoned by my very first spirit guide. So there are still some others that I've met where I don't know if I would be, I haven't looked for them, since this thing that happened like 2 weeks ago. And it would be weird to name names. It wouldn't make sense to name names. Like I said, my original, first ever metaphysical class was close to 30 years ago. So I'm just not naming names, but some people I've worked with have been really helpful to me. And some others have said stuff like, oh, if you're not spiritually pure, your guides will leave. And I will, this is my unhinged, I apologize for the quality of this video. I am new to YouTube. I am not promising a wonderful video because I am literally disabled and chronically in pain. And I am doing my best, and it took me 10 years to be ready to be on camera, to be on video, which my guides have been bugging me for quite a while. And I first started thinking about this channel 10 years ago, and I will, improve in quality over time. And I will definitely make another version of this video because it bears repeating. There's nothing where it's like, oh, you're spiritually impure, your guides would leave you. That was that person. That person wasn't even that much older than me at the time and really wanted me to, behave in class. So she told me, if I didn't behave in class and do what she wanted, my guides would leave me. That's what that was about. That doesn't mean, your guides are actually ever gonna leave you. And I will make this video again when I'm a little bit less, activated about it. And yeah, I am activated about it because I just went spelunking and found my original guides literally 2 weeks ago. So, we're all ever evolving. It's normal to keep studying. It's normal to have mentors. We don't all know it all. My teacher, who I was 16, she was 21 at the time of this class. She didn't know it all, and she really wanted, control. And that's why she told me, oh, your guides would leave you. The same guides are with me now. And it doesn't mean I haven't evolved because I've met other guides since then. I've developed an individual relationship with each guide I've met. But many of them that were with me when I was 16 are still there. And it doesn't mean I've never evolved since I was 16 years old. So, I do feel a lot of things about this topic, and that's why I will have a channel devoted to spirit guides. Because, another one of my colleagues was talking about, less people talk about spirit guides these days. And even like talking less about angels because, when we've both noticed this, that it's very much about like, manifesting. I have to tell you, because I speak to my spirit guides, pretty much every day. Sometimes it's like we go a little while, like 48 hours, and I haven't said hi to them, but that's mostly just me losing track of time. But because I talk to my spirit guides every day, I don't need to manifest that much. The universe provides for me. I'm not loaded. It's not about that. I have a good relationship with them, and like they make sure, I've had some literally life-saving experiences with them, and it's worth it to keep the lines of communication open to your spirit guides. So I have a lot of feelings about it, and that's exactly why I'm making this channel. And like, I apologize for the video quality on this. I literally decided to make this video while I'm in like some significant pain, because I just felt like it's time to make this video, and I'll make it again like when I'm not in my room. This is my room. When I'm not in my room, like when I have like a better setup, this is literally my third YouTube video. But basically, and I won't always be like activated about topics, but like I have an abiding love for my spirit guides, and I really want to like debunk some things that like they're not it's not necessarily helping anyone to tell them, oh, like if you don't spiritually evolve, like your spirit guides will leave you. That's not a thing. That's not like how a loving universe would work. So it really I have a lot of feelings about it, and that's exactly why this channel exists. So, before I ramble further, I will, there will be like other videos that evolve in quality, I assume, as I get used to this platform. I'm not trying to learn everything in one day, but I feel really activated about this, especially. I mean, of course, I could have known, my guides were still there, but I hadn't heard from a few of them since I was that age, so I had no particular reason to, like, know that they were still there, but guess what? They're still there. And, I've studied, I've practiced as a medium, I've done a little bit of everything. I've done channeling, I've done... so it's not like I'm not spiritually evolving, and that's why my first guides are still there. That's not a thing. So anyway, I am not a perfect YouTuber. I have chronic pain. I have a disability. And, that's actually what keeps me a little bit more connected to my spiritual side. And this is actually my life's work. And I will be elaborating on, this topic and my NDE and, my series of like very improbable but magical, spiritual experiences and everything. And that's what this channel is for. Okay.